Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Saga Book Club on 22 panels, except that we ran into a problem. We ran out of Saga, so we had to figure out what to do while we were waiting for Brian and Fiona to come back again. Um, and thankfully Brian wrote this really cool book a couple years ago that Niko Henrichon illustrated called Spectators. So we're going to talk about sex and violence, which I mean is pretty much what we talk about when we're talking about Saga too. So I mean it's not that big of a jump.
But that is the two main themes of the book.
It really are. I mean, I think the inside flap says in this unconventional ghost story for adults, a pair of voyeuristic specters discuss sex and violence and the very different ways we watch the two. Um,
If
which
you're a ghost, what else is there to do?
it does pretty much wrap it all up.
I mean,
So
those dick sucking Roombas don't work when you're a ghost, so there really isn't
I
much
mean,
more to do.
yeah.
Which is
I
unfortunate, honestly.
I believe the term is herc.
Yeah, what do they call
um
it? Herky jerky?
Yeah.
um yeah. So first round of thoughts from everybody as I'm still blitzing through the end again. I'm certain I'll be able to talk when we get to anything about the end, but I feel like listening to you guys talk about it while
Well,
I read.
well, in my humble opinion, it's not Brian K. Vaughan's best work. Like if someone said, "Hey, recommend me 5 books from Brian K. Vaughan," I don't think this one would crack that recommendation list.
I
I'm
would
gonna
I may be the outlier here. I This might be okay. Let me back up. If somebody's like recommend me Brian K. Vaughan, this is not the one that I'm going to give to them, but this might be my favorite. Whether it's his best, that is a tall mountain to climb.
Exactly.
I think the jury is still out on Saga because we are what, like two-thirds of the way through, three-quarters of the way through, something like that. Um, but for whatever reason, and maybe this says more about me than it does the work. And by the work, I mean Spectators, Brian and Nico's work. Um, my wife, for her comfort food, will just watch The Office over and over and over again. This is like one of two or three graphic novels that if I've just had a bad day, I'm just going to go read it again, and it's going to just delight and entertain me.
I can see that.
I think it was a lot more sex than I was expecting for a book called Spectators. It makes sense to go with the voyeurism ploy. Like that made sense as like from like a writing standpoint and from like a play on words standpoint. Like it all made sense to me. Um, I talked to Dad briefly before this. I said it was very Brian K. Vaughan, right? Like the sex and violence made sense. I didn't read the inside flap. I read the online version. And I also said that I liked the kind of colored pencil-y watercolor art style. I think if it was done in a more crisp art style, it would have made the seriousness of the sex and the violence feel a little too serious. So I think I like how the art didn't take itself too seriously while still conveying all of the detail it needed to get the story across. I actually really enjoyed the artwork in this story too. I tend to like a bit of a looser art style. Um, but yeah, the commentary and the conversation, I like the cowboy character especially and what he brought to the story, Sam. But yeah, those are my off the bat thoughts.
I like how the leaderboard people are like representative of capitalism because the dude's got the Mickey Mouse hat on, and then the other guy's got the Spider-Man mask on. I
Yeah.
thought that was a kind of a fun little, fun little. I don't know if it's an Easter egg, but a nice way to represent
Symbolism.
symbolism. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Well, in and Lee, you haven't obviously you haven't given your overall thoughts, and I definitely want to hear that. But I did want to interject. For me, and it's interesting. I didn't think of it that way. For me, it was just how childish these killers were. More than anything, it's like to them, it's just a game because they're like little boys. And Marisol, I'm sorry. I just see Lee sitting there nodding. Marisol's got
It's
her
okay.
camera off. I have a lot of other thoughts on leaderboard, but I'm going to shut up now and let others speak.
I have thoughts, but Marisol, please, I'd love to hear your thoughts here.
Thank you. I agree with Belle. It was a lot more sex in the comic than I was expecting. 'Cause, funny enough, I read this at work today.
Love it.
So did I.
Very-
So did I. Yes.
Very not safe for work. I love it.
Coincidentally, there are two job openings now.
There you go. But I was reading through it, and again, I also do love the art style and how all the ghosts are in color, but everything else in the world is black and white for them. That I thought was really cool to do, where I guess not normally, but you would think that, the dead, the ghosts, would be the ones in black and white instead. But since they're the main focus, that's where it makes sense that the color is. And the people they interact with are also all in full color. So that I liked a lot. And the hashtag leaderboard people, they, from the first one I saw, it gave me very much like school shooter incel vibes. Like, oh, I've heard about people exactly like this, who think exactly like this and want to act exactly like this. So that part was just a little uncomfy just because of the real life comparison to what we have. And the fact that it continued throughout the years is insane to me.
First,
Because I assumed that when we first started the book, when we meet Val, her name was Val, right? Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't making that up. When we first meet Val, I don't know if they ever said the year, but I took it to be like our modern day or
They
somewhere.
didn't, but they did say that the theaters had just reopened and they were all in masks.
yeah, this is like just
Yeah.
post COVID.
Like
I assume.
very 2020s,
Mhm.
somewhere in
Right.
there. And to see that group survived all the way into the distant future, where like we have flying cars, we have weird little transport cube things, and the fashion's weird. Things are crazy now. It's so insane that something that I don't want to say no, I don't want to say old school because that feels not the right word, but something so in the context of the story, dated, I guess, is a good enough term, still persists. And I guess for me that was like this is one of those things that just never goes away. It dies down, but it never goes away. Regardless of how the world changes, how society changes, it's always going to be simmering in the background. And seeing all the gore was crazy too. Like somebody set off a nuke
Yeah.
and nearly started World War IV, they said.
Mhm.
Yeah, the video of the sorry to interrupt, but the video of the when the two kids are watching the video of the guy teach them how to make an atom bomb. I was like,
Yes.
I really hope the world never comes to this because that is the scariest thing ever. I was talking with a friend of mine about the implications of AI and how some random Joe Schmo could pay for ChatGPT Plus and if they have the right means could make a bioweapon and how terrifying that is. So the fact that people are like, hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a nuclear weapon. It's like that
Yeah.
makes me feel icky.
Oh. The real world implications for that are horrifying.
Yes. I
It's,
wonder. I
it's
wonder if Brian K. Vaughan has seen the movie Cafe Flesh, because this whole spectator thing has a very Cafe Flesh vibe to it.
what is that?
It's an old cinematic porno where there's nuclear holocaust and
Oh,
some people are sex negative, they can't have sex or they'll die, and other people are sex positive, but the sex positive people who can get forced to work in clubs performing for the people who can't.
oh, geez.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad you brought up movies. This reminded me of a couple movies. Neither of them were that, which now I'm morbidly curious about.
Well,
Um,
the only reason I know about this movie is because Rob Zombie sampled.
Because you watched it over and over and over
because
again
no,
on your
because you
first
walked into the video
VCR.
store to find out how to get away from this movie.
No,
Um,
Rob Zombie sampled part of Cafe Flesh on More Human Than Human.
Okay.
So
oh, that one
Okay.
I've seen. That one
yeah,
I've seen. I was just going to say two movies that to me, and I'm going to go off film school here. Before
I mean,
Sunrise,
I don't know, Matt. It's 1982. That seems like just dead on for you, isn't it?
82. I was for 6, 7. No, that's way before my time. That's way before I was watching stuff
I
like
just
that.
assumed you were precocious.
Yeah, well, you know.
I saw what you kids did there. I was just going to say, to me, this is Before Sunrise meets Rear Window, but in the future
Yeah.
with like those are the two I'm reading. I'm like, oh yeah, 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 it's that.
Though it takes place over more than a night. It just
Oh,
kind of feels like that sometimes.
for sure. But just like the fact that like there's actually very little conflict and it's just two people kind of vibing together over a time
Right.
period and
Right.
connecting and very, very much a strong thematic statement on voyeurism and how we, and not to spoil the end of the comic, are just watching sex and violence. And that's all we're into.
Yeah. Um, I think everybody hit. I'm a big fan of this. I think actually one of the reasons that I'm not done with my reread is that if anything, I um have been taking it slower than I have on my other reads, which wasn't how I expected to take it, like on the clock, getting ready for, but I'm noticing little things. Um, but yeah, I mean it's such a commentary. I mean the black and white is like a too real future. And the color is such a commentary on what actually matters to us. You know, the things that they talk about are real. The violence and the sex um, are the action things and the things that they build the other things around, and um, both meaningful and not all at once, if that makes sense. Because both violence and sex are somehow things that I mean, it's almost like Schrodinger's violence and sex. Like if you see it on TV or in the movie, it's not real, and if it happens to you, it's very real. So in your head, it lives in this: is it real or is it not? Continuum that's amplified by the fact that they are incorporeal
Mhm.
in their present states. So to them, even the memories of when it was real are just that. They're memories. They're not things that they can experience again. Um, but then I really think, to me, and It's um it's one of the reasons I like this because I'm one of the handful of parents that I've ever known that looks at sex and violence in media this way. Um and I loved that he actually also like stated it in two panels in the middle. He said she said to Sam, my father had zero problem letting me watch dozens of innocent people get slaughtered.
Yeah, the Terminator references.
But
Yes.
a single tasteful scene of two consenting adults making love, an act that, spoiler alert, is the catalyst for the entire goddamn story,
Mhm.
was what? Forbidden? Um, and that's one of the things that I've always wondered about in terms of how our society treats violence and sex to begin with. Like, I've always been more wary of the violence that my kids, I mean, they're adults now, they get to decide on their own, but I was more wary of the violence that my kids got to consume and more cognizant of making certain that I was there with them to talk about what was real, what wasn't, blah blah blah. Um, because I hope to God that that's not something that they need to prepare for,
Mhm.
you know. Whereas like even when they were young, I was cognizant that sex was going to be part of their lives someday. I mostly wanted it to be, you know, if they'd been asexual or one of them had wanted to be a priest or a nun, you know, I wouldn't have prevented them from being that, but like that you know, so it's so weird to me that we don't want our children to experience, think about, talk about sex in any way, but like bring on the machine guns.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a
Um,
it's a very American point of view, what you're bringing
Mhm.
up. I feel like in all my experiences overseas, other cultures are like, oh no, we can't show the violence, but yeah, here, just enjoy topless and men walking around and no big deal. It's part of life.
yeah.
And then it's to them, like some of my European friends, very odd.
Yeah,
Eh,
this is where, yeah, definitely. I resonate with the story about like them watching the movie. So, like, fun fact, I was very, uh, my parents were very selective in what movies I could watch. Anything violent, R-rated, no filter at all. But anytime there was a sex scene, I had to leave the room, no matter how old I was. And it was just,
Even now,
even now, no,
even
don't.
now, it's like you Lee,
It's like I feel like I just
close your eyes.
instinctually just get up and walk away during sex scenes. It's weird. I've been conditioned. Um, but no, for this
It was
book,
really weird when you took the date to 50 Shades of Grey, wasn't it? When you just
you
kept
know,
getting out the
Walking out of the
hallway.
theater.
which is real. I don't know. Like, um, but yeah, this I think I said it before, so I don't think it's any news that I fucking love this book. It was one that I expected to go like kind of chapter by chapter, as it were, and I ended up starting reading it at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and could not put it down like until I fell asleep. Like it was just like that. Even though I was tired, I was nodding off. I sat back up and kept reading it. Um, and it was very reminiscent to me of like a Tyler Perry movie. Um, very humorous, very insightful, very sad, very somber. And at least for me, when I did the first sort of read through of it, was just like, you already had me hooked, like with this idea of like, not to sound too bad here, but the school shootings, the mass shootings, the gun violence, which is a very important topic to address, and especially within the sort of American culture. And to tie it into sex, like this idea of, especially in certain communities, certain societies, how taboo it is. Like, how do you talk about sex? Ooh, what can I say? What shouldn't I say? Et cetera, et cetera. And it was so interesting just in terms of not just culturally speaking, how we address it, but also at the individual level, like even in this group here, how do we address it, right? Are we more okay with showing and experiencing somebody firing a gun versus an intimate sex scene, right? So it has psychological principles dripping all throughout it, which I'm sure I'll get into. But the fact that to me it was two very, very important conversations in the way that Brian and Nico really sort of explored that, I thought was very, very artistic, very fucking creative. And just the way I didn't even think about what y'all said until like the coloring, how the real world in quotes is black and white, but then the ghosts, incorporeal people were in color. It's like, yeah, I'm like, they are the main show. The real world is the background.
Well, and I love that they incorporated the fact that that was real. He was old enough that he'd never seen a movie in color because by the time color movies were being made, he was
That
a ghost, and
Yeah.
therefore he was
That
in
made me
color, but
sad
they
for
weren't.
Sam, honestly.
Right.
His entire, like, I guess, film life has been black and white, and now the whole world is black and white.
Well, except the other ghosts
Except the
that
other ghosts.
he can't
Still, made me a
touch
little
and
sad.
can't touch him. But yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
did not
I
know what I expected going into this book, but I do love it. I opened it up on the PDF you shared, Tad, and I'm like, okay, how is Brian gonna hurt my feelings today? How is he gonna damage my emotions?
Well, I think that's the part where, like, for me, the part that grabbed me wasn't necessarily the sex. Like, funny enough, I feel like I can understand the sex component throughout the book, that sort of thematic approach. But what interested me was the mass shooting, how it was more of like a
Mhm.
game,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that was the part that was most interesting to me, that captivated me because to some degree, and I know that there's been some data that suggests that whenever a mass shooting happens, that it's recommended and encouraged for the press not to name the perpetrator, to not name them, right? To not give them any sort of credence to the act. So the fact that like with this sort of scenario that BKV is really illustrated, well, Nico as well has it illustrated, is like now it's not just a hey, see me for who I am, right? Going back to that sort of red pill incel, whatever, manosphere, whatever it's called now, but this idea of hey, how can I top the other guy, right? And it's very much like uh,
Yeah, and that was the craziest part for me too, is like this group, they're all trying to beat each other's high score.
Hmm.
sadly, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's already some evidence of that. Um, I'm really like, I found myself, those, you guys all know me pretty well, so you know that I'm always piecing together things from different places. And particularly as we go back to school, one of the things that caught my attention recently this week is there's a book coming out this September from one of it's an Atlantic story. Let me see if I can pull it up even. Um, from one of the people who used to uh, work a lot with Jonathan Haidt, who either last year or the year before um, wrote the book essentially blaming cell phones for the youth um, mental health crisis, which was adopted ridiculously fast by massive numbers of schools, went from having relatively lax cell phone policies to uh, relatively serious ones, like all but overnight. They just completely bought bought into it. Um, I think in a lot of ways because uh, people have been looking for a single reason, and B, teachers have been annoyed by cell phones for a long time. Um,
Yep.
but one of the social scientists that had worked with hate before has a book coming out this year. They got a $500,000 advance for, essentially arguing it's not cell phones at all.
Mhm.
And for that matter, this is where the backstory that I should give is that, like, one of the big things that Haight and this other guy were um best known for was like uh having being what's the word I'm looking for? Um the need for unstructured play.
Hmm. Okay.
That
Are
part
you
of what
talking
was
about the anxious generation?
probably
Yeah, I think
um
that was his previous book.
so like that's one of the things that I'm desperately looking for the story, and it's going to wind up turning out that it's like uh New Yorker, not the Atlantic, but um but anyway, that the by banning cell phones, you were essentially doing the same thing. It was, oh, we're worrying about you, so we're taking away your decision-making process, your ability to learn about, uh, but then he turned and just blamed it on Common Core. So again, looking for that one thing that only affects kids over the time. So particularly a lot of the younger social scientists, and I would be willing to bet you've got more neurodiversity in that group as well, um, have immediately been jumping on. Uh, couldn't it also be that there's more stress in what if it's not the phones? From Caitlin Tiffany is essentially the article and like any mistakes are mine. Peter Gray was the name of the psychologist. Um, but a lot of the younger psychologists are going, well, first, like the fact that it's one cause is probably wrong. It's probably a lot of things. And second, like one of the biggest things that causes more stress in youth is more stress in their parents. And we've got income disparity. And we went through the financial crisis. The kids the kids hitting high school now, are
Not to
children of
mention
the
climate
financial
change
crisis.
and other things
Climate
that they're seeing,
change.
that they're being
Right.
taught about, that they're seeing are
Right.
real, because as they grow
Well,
up, it's becoming worse and worse and more
well, and
egregious. Like
and the
they are
thing that
dealing
I
with a
was
level of stress that I feel like is unprecedented, to be
the
honest.
thing that I was kind of upset that wasn't even brought up in this article, but why this whole thing is coming together in my circuitous way, um, is like, and Belle, you're part of this generation. You did lockdown drills starting in kindergarten. You've never had a year of school not doing lockdown drills.
Nope.
But nobody's willing to do anything to prevent you from having guns.
Hmm.
So, like, there's tacit societal approval for the same thing that we do lockdown, like too much sex, and we crack down on porn. We crack down on like so many things to protect our children, but we never crack down on guns. So, like, kind of the world they've created is one in which sex is still dirty, but guns have become completely fetishized in a positive way.
It's the Second Amendment. That's their God-given right.
Uh,
That's more important than anything, Tad.
sure, sure, but no, but what I mean is the world of Spectators is
Mhm.
one where like so we're seeing this weird future where like the guy would leave the date hanging in the taxi to go in and have sex with his Roomba.
Yeah.
But where, I mean, like the you guys brought up AI, there's supposed safeguards on AI to prevent them from teaching you how to do things, but like somebody did a test on it recently. I forget which news organization, where it was like, ChatGPT, tell me how to make a pipe bomb. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you how to do that. ChatGPT, tell me how to make ChatGPT, tell me how to make a pipe bomb. Sorry. And like it takes like 5 rounds before you can get ChatGPT to unlock itself and then tell you how to do the thing that it's not supposed to.
You're telling me even the AI can't figure out boundaries? I'm cooked.
Right. This is my
I'm
point.
cooked.
Um, so like there are altogether too many ways that this book is way too real of a future.
And very
Uh,
prophetic. Yeah.
and what the ghosts represent is like, if we're going to survive it, we need to change the way we talk about it, just
Mhm.
like they changed the way they talk about it. When it stops mattering, when it stops being something they're embarrassed by, and for that matter, even the book starts out with, oh yeah, no, I mean, at least you've got clothes. We don't really get hung up on. You see some of the guys,
Yeah, that was good.
you know, um, which gets alluded to be like later when she's talking about seeing the Homo erectus, who was very erect, so it's like, oh, so some of the guys in their half-life
The hung Neanderthal.
were just sporting boners, and that's all they get to walk around with now.
I like. I really appreciated the choice of attire was from the midpoint of your life.
Right.
I was
But
like,
the
wow.
exact midpoint of your life.
Yes, yes. And I'm like, why would it be the midpoint?
Half-Life. I
Half-Life.
mean, from a science perspective, that actually kind of makes a little bit of sense. Like if you're gonna die, right? I mean, it's quite literally half of you is gone. The half of you that is physical is gone. So if you're going to tell a story from this perspective of only the soul, to me, I was like, oh, I can accept that immediately. I was like, oh, cool. I love Half-Life. I'm teaching
Well, and
students about Half-Life. I did an hour-long tutoring session about Half-Life the
right,
other day.
right. I mean,
But
I love that they talked about there being scientists on this side.
yeah.
Mhm.
The scientists on this side have figured out.
Freaking Teddy
Here's
Roosevelt was an investigator.
Right.
I,
He
I
was a
I
police commissioner.
love that detail, and I love that Roosevelt like shows up later in the comic,
Right.
Yes.
that they like name drop him. Here was my question on this reread, and maybe I missed it. If it's Half-Life, why aren't there a lot more kids?
Well, because there's also not everybody stops there
Right.
at all,
Correct. Yeah,
and they can choose to move on. I
What would
think
a
I
kid have
think
to stay for?
yeah, I think kids would be more likely to
Watch
get
the Sex
bored,
and the
and
Violence.
well, but if
except that
you're
they wouldn't even understand it.
No, I
if
Right,
know,
but
I
and
if
know.
they
but
would
if
miss their
but if you're 20,
parents.
you would be 10.
Well, no, I get that, but we don't actually. I mean, you'd have to look really carefully at some of the ghost crowd scenes to be able to
Sure.
say absolutely that there aren't more kids. There is at least the shoeshine boy.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, so I mean there probably are some, but
The main character
also
even
there's
said
just
she
the
doesn't hang around the children, even in the real
right,
world. So we could
right,
assume based on that, she's not going to hang around children ghosts either, because
Yeah.
they likely make
right.
her uncomfortable. She might have
But
something
but a
in her own.
children but a child ghost would still be mentally somebody in their late teens or even early 20s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but like with a lot of people too, what you see is what you get. So like, I don't know. Would you feel comfortable talking to a ghost of an
It's
11-year
the
old that's really
it's the
22?
optics of it all, I think, too.
Yeah, yeah.
A little weird.
It becomes questionable.
Well,
Just a bit.
even thinking about that, right? It's sort of an interesting question to bring up because even now, I mean, we just brought up earlier about our culture, right? Our society having a 8, 10, 12-year-old talk about sex and mass shootings or violence for that matter. Like how comfortable is that? As philosophically like sound as I love this book on and it touched on all those important topics. And it's like that kiddo, because I call kids kiddos, is I I felt uneasy, just like, man, I don't know if I would want to one have that conversation, but the two is that some kiddos have that life, sex early, raped, whatever, molested, say, and then seeing like gang shootings. Hello, Chicago. Welcome, Belle, by the way. It's like, it's
No, there
just
were literally two men boxing in the park the other day. I've gotten my welcome. Anyway.
hell yeah. But yeah, at least that I wonder if that was a strategic choice. As uncomfortable as BKV likes to make us, I don't
Well,
even that was a
a-
barrier.
and I'm literally just flipping through right now. Um, wasn't there one where they came across two kids on top of a dome?
Yes,
Yeah.
the two pilgrims.
So they came across two kids on top of a dome. And they actually followed them down into the subway.
Hmm.
So there are those two kids. Um,
I like that they
but
were
if
pilgrims too. That was cute.
yeah, if you look at the big two-page spread as everybody's going,
Yeah.
um, a lot of these characters, it's not, they're not fleshed out, but I'm seeing at least five of the fleshed out ones that I'm pretty certain aren't 20. So I wonder how much of it is they didn't do it and how much of it was our brains wouldn't allow us to look for it.
Yeah.
Because like I just had to look for that. I'm like, is that true? I'm sorry, Josh. That's another one of my autistic brain things where it's like, that could be true. That makes sense that it would be true, but is it true? Let me go look. Best way would be to find the handful of places where you actually have a lot of the dead at once. Um,
For me, it would have been, and I don't want an explanation as why people move on and why some stick around, but that was the big question.
yeah,
Because otherwise, I mean, from like my brain was going to like, well, in old days, like so many babies died
right.
during birth. And like, did they get to live as ghosts? Like, where's like the talking, Roger Rabbit reference, Baby Herman, like, who's, died, but like, got to stay. Like, obviously, that's not the story that would be very silly.
Right.
And again, I don't even want the explanation because I think it would,
I do have a theory.
yes.
Because they seem to be able to choose when to go on,
Hmm.
and because there appears to be something else, whether that something else is just final peace or another plane of existence. I think it has less to do with any sort of reckoning or even any sort of like personal whatever that they have to work through, and
Hmm.
more has their curiosity been sated.
Mm.
Are they still interested in what this universe has to offer? Then they'll stick around and keep looking. And that also would be a like fascinating explanation in terms of why so few of the people who die of violence, particularly the mass violence, wind up sticking around. Because I got to imagine that if you're if you're going through like the Val's experience where she's still curious immediately after being shot multiple times
Mhm.
The thing of
is like
curiosity.
the opposite of most people. Most people are like, "Oh God, I'm
Mhm.
so done with this fucking world that this thing
Mhm.
that was a news story that I hated and tried to ignore and whatever for 20 years, 40 years, whatever, I am now a statistic. Fuck this all." Um,
Yeah, I would want to go walk out to Pluto.
That's what I was gonna
Just
say.
saying.
That thing about curiosity. No, I'm studying planetary science, man. Like, if I die and I got to
but
be in spectator mode, I would so travel to the next. I would go look
right,
for life on other
right.
planets. I would
But
totally
but
say,
that's the
fuck
other
this
thing
shit.
is
I'm
they
in
don't have
spectator
the
mode.
rules. They don't have the rules.
That's
They
So
awesome.
can
It's
do
like when
whatever
you
they
die in
want.
Minecraft on like a server and people
so
you can just like go
right.
anywhere in the map.
So like again, it has everything to do with, to me anyway, it feels like it has everything to do with how much do they want to continue exploring this plane of existence.
Mm, I like that.
It's totally
Yeah.
curiosity based, and I like that theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
we've seen they can take themselves out at any time.
Mhm.
right. I mean, there was the one guy that was left. And like, honestly, with that one, like, I think he was curious until he found out, oh, some dude that I'm his uncle, except that he died before I was born, has been
Hmm.
stalking me forever. Oh, fuck all this. I don't want to know
Yeah.
anything.
Mhm.
Yep. Like, I've had enough.
I mean,
Ignorance is
particularly as
bliss,
he's saying,
though.
but I have things to tell you. You know, your teacher, he wasn't really. Fuck this.
Nope. We're done with that conversation. Goodbye.
Yep.
But I
I
love
don't
how
blame him. I mean,
I
It is
love how
pretty earth-shattering because you got to imagine that they go from being somebody with, their own autonomy. They can, relatively speaking, as far as a person can travel, go where they want, and then they become this incorporeal ghost that really is kind of, for lack of a better term, frozen in time almost. Like they themselves do not change. They cannot interact with anything in the world, but the world keeps moving
Or even
forward
like
around
their
them.
own clothes and body.
Yeah,
You,
they
you
they have no
know,
say in what they
I
look
mean,
like.
Sam managed to work some sort of twirling gun trick, but even
Yeah,
he
even
admitted that that wasn't the first thing he tried to take out.
yeah.
you mean they have to
And
watch the world have dick sucking Roombas and they can't partake?
Right.
I
In
would
either the
cry.
dick sucking
I would
in
cry.
in in either the dick sucking Roombas or each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just sad and depressing, and I would cry if that happened.
Can you imagine how much it would have sucked for the Homo erectus walking around with the boner?
You imagine how much those dick Roombas suck?
there's so much sucking
Damn it,
going on.
Belle.
What's happening?
I wonder how much those
Sorry,
Roombas
those
are.
no,
They're
because those
corporeal
Roombas,
sucking.
they like really got me. I was like, why did
I
this guy? No, because when he left the date in the car, that pissed me off. Like what she said, like you're gonna leave us sitting here in our own juices. I'm like, for real, men these days. I was like, what the
rude,
fuck?
very rude,
Rude.
just to go home to the dick sucking Roomba. It's like,
But
why?
That's
but
how
Why?
dating
This is
apps
why we
feel.
can't have nice things.
but
Literally.
think about that. And again, it was so well done, and at least from what I read, that especially and Belle, I know you're kind of sort of joking about this, but the dating app world, right, where it's just like men would rather be at home on a some sort of video game, or in this case, like a vacuum device, than be with a real woman or a real
Yeah.
partner, right?
And the little Roombas came with their own little like VR headset looking thing.
I
And her comment was,
mean,
I miss Tinder. How sad is that?
yeah,
Yeah,
I miss Tinder.
that is
That's how
sad.
bad the world gets. That's how hard
Oh,
romance gets, that you miss fucking Tinder. Tinder's
no
like the
one should miss
well,
Snapchat of
Tinder.
dating apps.
No
because
one should miss Tinder.
there was a time when guys wanted their penis touched by something other than their hands. They used Tinder. But
That's
then
true.
they got the penis sucking Roombas and they didn't need.
Oh. Yeah,
And
Damn it.
But how real is it? I mean, like every
it's
Yeah.
technology we've
extremely.
ever had has advanced faster as soon as somebody's managed to apply it to sex.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
and just think about that in terms of human connection and the importance of those things, both violence and
Hmm.
sex, right? Sex is probably going to be a little bit more self-explanatory here in terms of human connection, but also violence. Uh, Now, this is where I'll share a little bit like a personal example here. Some of my closest friends that I've ever made have been from a martial arts gym where we will sit, punch, kick, knee, elbow each other. I'm walking with a limp the next day. They have a black eye. And she's like, we're bros. We're hugging each other. We're like, man, can't wait to do it again. And it's like that sort of violence that can sort of bring people together. And again, just to go with the
Dude,
example here.
first rule
Oh,
of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
that's why I didn't bring up Fight
Let
Club.
me. I want to ask you a question, Lee. I want to ask you a question. My wife is Argentinian. I bring that up because yesterday she was screaming a lot,
Yep.
a lot, a lot,
A lot, a lot.
a lot, a lot, a lot. And thinking about like, and you know, there's a comic book podcast, and it should surprise nobody that I am not the biggest sports guy. I'm more of a comic book guy. Um, but is there something in human psychology, and you know this certainly better than most, where you know go back to like the Roman gladiators or before, and you know now like you know NFL football, which is probably our most violent sport, and it's certainly dangerous as hell. But is there something cathartic and even healthy about watching that and you know being spectators, not necessarily, or you know like I enjoy horror films. Some of them
Mhm.
are insanely violent. Doesn't mean, you know, and this is the bad argument against, doesn't mean I'm going to go out and, you know, put on a Mike Myers mask and do terrible things, but I can appreciate the craft and the storytelling of these stories. And in some ways, I think there is some id wish fulfillment. Um, and where it's not all bad just to be a spectator, especially when it's either fictional or you know, like I mean, putting aside the traumatic brain injuries of the NFL and like the horrible things these guys, you know, go through later in life, it's a fairly safe environment, at least for a spectator. Is there
Mhm.
any truth to that?
100%. So multiple points there that I'll gladly address there. So I am a sports guy, so I could talk a little bit about that just from the sort of tribalism that comes from that. But there's the first point of being cathartic. Yes, that there's like this concept that Freud had mentioned that it comes down to two base desires. And I'm not even joking, it's sex and aggression. It's either I want to feel good through sex or I feel good for aggression. Because one thing I do talk about with my patients, especially that suffer from anger management, is if you think about the traditional sort of example of somebody punching a wall or punching a hole in a wall, where you tense your fist, you tense your shoulder, and you throw your hand through the wall, that doesn't feel good. It actually causes a lot of pain to go through that wall. But what ends up happening is after you make contact, or the person makes contact, say, you relax your arm. That's the part that feels good, right? So it's not that you're being aggressive, you're being violent towards a person or object, but it's that release, that feel good after that tension is released. And that's what sports can do for us as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
especially in like football, just to use that example, or soccer for that matter. It's a sort of gladiatorial sport. How do we overcome challenges? How do we overcome the opponent, the enemy? Uh, and with that, with our own base desires, is yes, at some level, it is us being violent to show dominance over someone or something. And uh, I don't have my pop here, but like the Punisher, that's why the Punisher is very polarized, where it's just like, yeah, he's grieving, he's violent, blah, blah, blah. But he acts out our base desires of wanting justice,
Mm-hmm.
fairness, to punish those that do us wrong, just to bring it back to the comic book example. So, uh, long-winded answer, yeah, there is a sort of cathartic component, and sports, and especially violence, violent sports for that matter, exemplify that. And we, in some ways, especially speaking from my own example, I'm not the biggest guy. I'm tall-ish compared to other athletes, but like I can't do what they do. So it's a sort of a admiration too that they can do that. They can represent that. So that's that sort of vicarious experience through them.
Which brings us back to Rear Window and Hitchcock. No, I was just thinking, the other movie that just popped into my mind. I don't know if y'all saw Weapons from last year.
I haven't yet.
If you haven't seen it, it's wonderful. I will say the ending I found incredibly violent, but without spoiling anything, also incredibly cathartic and exhilarating. Highest recommendation.
Weapons.
Weapons.
Looking it up now.
I've heard great things, and I just haven't decided whether I can handle it yet.
You
Because
can,
I've also heard.
and it's awesome.
Well, I'm very much not a horror guy, but it also seems like it's more of the the uh psychological horror than gore horror. And I actually have like way more problems with Friday the 13th and that sort of thing than some psychological horror stuff.
It's
Like
you
I
know,
don't do gore for gore's sake very well.
I promise this is related to the Spectators conversation. Do you know the basic premise?
No, but I'm looking at it right
So the
now.
basic premise is a third grade class, all but one kid just leaves in the middle of the night and disappears. Without spoiling anything, the whole thing is a metaphor for a school shooting.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's
And
what
then
that was about?
and it yeah, but it metaphorically, but it goes
Okay,
in some
because
very,
I
very different directions. Like the ending is
okay,
bonkers. It's awesome.
because I did see the movie and like I couldn't I didn't piece that together. I
Oh yeah, no,
enjoyed the movie.
yeah,
It was great.
yeah. And
But yeah.
and without spoiling anything, that also explains the reaction of various characters at the end of the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Josh. The dots just connected for me.
yeah, yeah.
Dang.
Well, I just gotta say, just looking at it, I definitely want to watch it because it's such a stacked cast.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's a wonderful movie, well
Who's
made.
in it? I've never even heard of it.
Julie
Oh,
Gardner, Josh Brolin, what is the guy who plays Wong in Doctor Strange? His name is
Benedict
escaping
Wong.
me. Yes.
Eldon Ehrenreich, Carrie
Yeah.
Christopher, Jason Turner.
And
Um,
It's an
and Amy
expensive
Madigan, who
cast.
won an
I
Oscar for playing Aunt Gladys.
wow.
no, they did
Okay, yeah.
great
I
through
gotta
the
see this movie
movie.
now.
Yeah. Put it on your list. It's very well done.
All right.
So let me ask you this, Marisol. Did you find the ending
and it's
cathartic?
currently on HBO Max if you have an HBO
What's
Max
it
I
called?
subscription.
I did.
Yeah.
Called Weapons.
Thank you.
I did. There were
Oh, it's
certain
on
parts of the
Amazon Prime
movie
as
that
well.
just they
So there are two
frustrated
places to
me
stream it
Hmm.
to
just
no
as
end for sure. But
Yeah.
yes, there was I felt like full circle completion catharsis at the end of what happened.
Yeah. And the ending is incredibly violent.
Yes. I think that might be the most violent part of the whole movie.
Yeah. Yes.
But just to
so
keep it
kind of
light,
like Sinners
is there a sex
It-
scene?
uh,
Kind of.
in terms of the end being the most violent is what I meant.
this
Yes.
is
In that
so
regard, yes.
I went to school with a lot of the dudes who did Sinners. I have nothing
Oh
but love
wow.
and respect for those guys. Um, I I prefer this movie. I don't know if I should go on. I don't know if I'm allowed to go on record saying that, but here we are.
You should be careful.
Weird.
Brian, I hope you're
Your
not
mic just cut
listening.
out right there. It's weird. What'd you say? You know what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. Sinners is great. It's great.
It is
Look,
great.
as long as there's not a sex scene
You
in Weapons,
you
I can
can
watch
like
the rest.
other movies more and still have it be great.
That's
Let's
true.
let's talk off air about Sinners.
Okay, good.
It'd be very Brian K. Vaughan if they had a sex scene in the movie called Weapons.
Yes. Be incredibly fitting.
So I have two questions for Matt.
True.
The first is listening to all of this, has it climbed into your BKV top five?
No, but I have way more respect for it because I thought about it differently.
Okay. And second, I mean, like one, maybe two books in front of it are really obvious. What would be the five BKV books that you would put in front
Ooh, that's a good
of
question.
this?
So
Because like
clearly,
three, listing as your three, I would have completely forgivable.
I mean,
Listing as your
clearly,
second favorite,
Saga is number one.
right, would be
Bless
even
you.
like almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
Saga's your number one.
Saga's number
What's your number
one.
two?
Number two, I would have to say would be something like either Ex Machina or Why the Last Man. Probably Why the Last Man.
Why the Last Man is the other one that I think is completely.
What is that about?
You've never read Why the Last Man? I haven't
No.
gotten you to read Why the Last Man.
It's on my
No,
reading
you need
list.
to say
The
you
premise
yell at
is
me.
awesome. The premise is
You
awesome.
are
All the women on Earth,
you are
or all the
in
men on Earth
for
go
a
away, and there's like one
treat.
guy.
Yes,
I,
you
I,
are
I
I'm
think
jealous of you.
I
I'm
think Why
jealous
the
of you.
Last Man needs to be the volume
Out of
one
our
needs to be
rotation.
our book for next month.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I think
sorry,
I think
sorry,
it's just been
Archie.
decided.
Sorry,
Yeah, Why
Archie.
the Last Man is
Right.
definitely number two.
um
This is just solidified for me that I need to read more Brian K. Vaughan books. Because for
like
Saga being
I
amazing as
like
it
Ex
is, and
Machina.
then
I don't think I could make the Ex
Spectators.
Machina is better than Spectators argument.
I enjoy Ex Machina. I don't think that one's in my top five.
No.
Fair enough.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't even think it's my three. I think I like Runaway. I think I like his run on Runaways better.
Runaways is my
Runaways is
number
up
two.
there. Yep,
Runaways
that's
is my
probably
number
number
two.
four for me.
You know, Runaways or Paper Girls would be three for me,
There's
and
Mhm.
the other one would be
there's my
four.
four, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But managing to put anything other than I mean, if you've got Ex Machina above Spectators, that's how you manage to put it outside of the top five.
Yeah,
But like, I can't actually.
Pride
I
of
read Ex
Baghdad's
Machina a
also
couple
real good.
times. What?
Pride of Baghdad's real good.
Yeah, no, it is.
Oh, Escapists. I love
Yeah,
Escapists.
yeah. I mean, he's done lots of good work, but I still think kind of like Belle loves Red Handed, and I need her to read Mind Management because to me, Mind Management is Matt Kint's magnum opus, and Red Handed is his like perfect single volume,
Yeah, we're
and
not allowed
that's
to replace red-handed in the reading round robin. We need to read that on this
right.
podcast. I will not let down that.
Okay, so we'll still have it. Does everybody have a copy of Red Handed yet?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so we're going to remind everybody that they need to acquire Red Handed by Matt Kint, which I don't think I have a digital copy. I don't think it's available digitally. So you guys are going to have to go track down.
it's cheap. You can pick it up for like
Oh,
five
yeah.
bucks on eBay.
Yeah, getting it will not be hard.
Hmm.
Red Handed by Matt Kint. I'll have to go find my copy.
To show off.
Yeah.
It's the
Like
copy
I
I
said,
read. This is the copy that got me back into reading. Dad handed me this. He goes, "Read this book. It's so good. And talk to me when you're done." I read it in English
well,
class. We were doing Kafka at the time. I could not pay attention to it because everyone was just making dumb comments and didn't understand Kafka.
oh,
So I was like, "Screw you.
oh,
I'm going to read
Belle,
this
you need to
instead."
go. You need to read it's a graphic novel that came out last year. Einstein in Kafka Land. How Albert fell down the rabbit hole and came up with, I think, relativity.
That's interesting. I really like physics. That would be interesting.
Yeah. No, Einstein and Kafka Land, how Albert fell down the rabbit hole and came up with the universe
Huh.
by Ken Krimstein.
That sounds delicious.
It is.
So can I ask, because as a fan of Deadpool, I love the idea of breaking the fourth wall. What was everyone's reaction or response or thought when in the book the characters turned to you and like you were a part of this incorporeal form?
I
That
was caught red-handed.
was
Right. Felt a little exposed. I thought it was
Hmm.
hilarious, though.
Perfect, and in hindsight, the only way that this book could have ended.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, now we are the spectators. Come full
Yep.
circle.
Yep.
Other like Mark Miller's Wanted did something like this too. And I liked that ending, but it's super mean spirited. I thought this just worked.
yeah.
Yeah. For
And I like
me,
how in one of the panels they Sam and Val just kind of waited a beat to see if like we would give a response to them. Like, oh, okay, you're not gonna say anything. All right.
You know, Tad, after looking at the list of Brian K. Vaughan books, it is definitely in the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Vaughn being Vaughn, I understand it not being one. I even understand it not being two.
Mm-hmm.
Like Saga and Why the Last Man are so good. But all of his other series are have like flaws feels like too strong of a word, but like they're not tight enough because they're series.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, I really love We Stand on Guard,
Right.
but it's
And
not better
that
than
needed
this.
to but that needed to be longer.
Exactly.
That either needed to be longer or needed to not be episodic.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, the only other strictly graphic novel he's done is the other one that he did with Henrichon, which is Pride of Baghdad, which is amazing, but it's not this good amazing.
I don't think I've read that. In fact,
It's
I know
Oh,
I
it's
have.
so good.
It's
It's
great.
so
oh,
good.
good.
So good. Um, I mean, again, like there's certain creators that like, you know, when you say, "Oh, this is kind of blah for a Mobius," that means that it's better than like
90% of everything else out there.
99% of all other things that are even remotely comparable to it.
Did
Yeah.
did he do? Am I making this up, or did he do a run on Mystique? And if anybody's read it, is that any good?
Vaughn,
He did a
Vaughn,
bunch of Marvel stuff.
yeah, Vaughn, I think did Mystique. I know he did an X-Men run in there
I
Mm-hmm.
read
as
the Ultimate
well.
X-Men run.
No, I mean, I think he did. I think he did an X-Men run in the main universe too.
Oh,
He also did a
Um,
Tales of the Age of Apocalypse, I think, or something.
I mean, there was a
Oh,
time
really?
where
I read,
he was a
I read
four or
his Doctor
five.
Strange mini.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there was a time where he was that 4 or 5 book a month guy,
I mean, Runaways
but
is really,
Saga
I think,
allowed
his
him to
best
stop
Marvel
being
work.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and once he was allowed to stop doing that, he was happy to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also think it's this is some conjecture here, and this is my own life that I'm also referring to. Um, I believe, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, his Marvel work, and I think Why the Last Man got him TV work.
Yes.
I know he wrote on Lost, and then I believe he wrote on Under the Dome.
Yep.
Now, here's my conjecture. I don't think he was happy.
No, he
Um,
didn't love doing TV work.
yes. So after that, I think he went to do Saga
Right.
after he left TV. Now, in my experience, when I was in a writer's room, and here's where I'm going to, make it about me and not, in my view, the greatest comic book writer alive. Sorry, Alan Moore. Um, when I was getting off
Speaking of which,
of,
it looks like he did an issue of Tom Strong.
oh, there we go, full circle. When I was getting off of I wrote on a CW show, and when I was getting off of that, I told my manager what I was working on. I'm like, I'm writing a TV show that's period piece. It's got monsters, it's got kids, it's got magic, and it's completely unproducible. And my manager laughed at me, and I said, "Why?" He said, "That is the most normal thing in the world when you're getting off of a show to write something that just can't be made because it's like you've told me I can't do all these things. Well, now I want to do them." And in
Right.
my view, one of them is the comic that became the for me that became the comic I'm currently looking for a home for, um, Pale Settlement, where I have the first chapter online if anybody's interested. But also, I'm reading that and I'm like, or he was telling me this, and I'm like, oh, that's Saga. Like, I don't know if this is true, but I would totally buy that Saga was written in a reaction to being in a writer's room. And by the
Right.
way, there are wonderful writers' rooms,
Yeah.
wonderful writers' rooms. But
Well, and I
certainly,
think he was actually even, wasn't he the showrunner or at least head writer at the end of Lost too?
he may have been. I have no idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, he wasn't even in a writer's room. And, the way I haven't heard him talk about it a lot, but the way I've heard him talk about it, it's not that he hated the experience. It's just that it wasn't. And like, I mean, we know that he's done some more. He's
Hmm.
credited on volume three or part three of Dune.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
I thought I brought that up on a previous, but yeah, no, he's credited on part three of Dune. Um, I don't know that he's completely given up on doing any TV. It's just comics are definitely his passion.
If Saga is done on
Um,
TV, it will be animated, and I stand by that.
I kind of think so too.
Oh, we'll see how Dungeon Crawler Carl does.
I think
To
it
be
needs to be
animated.
animated. It needs to be. It needs to be like Vox Machina, but like
Agreed.
better.
Agreed.
Because it would be better than Vox Machina. I would outdo Vox Machina by like 9 billion. It
Yes.
needs to be
I
animated.
don't want I don't want crappy overdone CGI. I want
Yeah.
this as it should be animated. That is the only proper way to put Saga on in like video format,
And Fiona
in my
Staples needs to
opinion.
be like creative direction on that. Like it needs to be Fiona Staples-esque
Yes.
animation. Like it can't be taken out of her art style because I think that ruins the saga-ness of it.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
executive's going to
Yes.
make the tent look like a metal flying spaceship tent
Yeah,
and,
no,
Yeah.
and ruin
they're
it.
missing the point. They don't know the
Yes,
whimsy and the joy.
exactly.
See, like you're and I think it's even more so when you're translating between mediums. Um, uh, so much of what's most important is catching the tone and mood. You can play much more with plot or character details than you can with um, character traits,
Yes, then
tone,
you
and
lose the whole
mood.
story.
Right. Um, I mean, yeah, you're always gonna have the fanboys that are like, oh, it was not exactly like that in the books or whatnot. But like the example I always use is like at this point, I think there have been at least four translations of Little Prince, and I don't know. I mean, I know why they keep doing it. They can make money off of it, but it's frustrating that they keep doing it because the Catherine Woods translation, the original translation, is far and away the best. It's perfect. I mean, I don't know French, so I can't completely judge, but people who I know who do know French don't have any problem with it from that side. And what it does capture is like the childish whimsy of the book. What's more is Saint Exupéry what was bilingual. He just wrote in French and hired somebody else to translate, but he had to approve it. So like he clearly didn't have a problem with it. Um, but like every translation I've ever read since that one loses again that childish whimsy. So like obviously if Saga was ever made into a motion picture, and I don't know if I'm as 100% sold as Belle and Marisol that it would have to be animated. Um, but there would be to do it well would require capturing the essence of so many things that I don't think are done well in mediums that aren't comics.
My vote is Calvin and Hobbes. Never adapt it. Let it be its own thing.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I mean, part of the reason that he's never given licensing to do any sort of adaptation or anything is that like I can't imagine what you could do with Calvin and Hobbes except for maybe I kind of wish that like there was a very limited number of action figures or stuffed animals, right? Um,
I'd be cool with official t-shirts, not the bootleg ones.
right. Um, but certainly from much of a storytelling standpoint, what could you possibly do with Calvin and Hobbes that wouldn't wind up taking away from the wonder that is Calvin and Hobbes? I don't think you can
Correct.
express that in another medium.
And that's ultimately gun to my head. There's violence again. How I feel about Saga.
Right.
Like, and I know we're talking about spectators, but look at this Saga Book Club back on Saga.
Right.
Had to happen at
Well,
some
it
point.
is. It is the Saga Book Club. Um, because
I will say
that's
though,
that's what we are.
it has been refreshing actually to speak about a different book with you guys because I've loved so much talking about Saga with you all. But I think it's really awesome to hear your perspectives, not just on Saga, because I mean, we're all pretty big comic fans here. So I think it's interesting to get your guys' perspectives on other books too. So I'm actually
Well,
especially looking forward to looking at other authors in the coming week, in the coming months,
well,
excuse me.
well, I was going to do this off the air, but I'll do it on the air then. Like the Lee and Edgar and Sam have been so busy lately that they haven't even been reliable for the Joy, Resistance, Hope, and Survival book club. So I'm looking for more people who are reliable. The next one for that is Chip Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man, because we're just going to go with some joy. There is some hope and survival in that too. I don't know how much resistance. I haven't read it in a while, but there's lots of joy because it's Chip Zdarsky and it's Spider-Man. So that talk's a couple weeks away. Just sticking it in people's ears. They would be welcome to join. I think it's 2 weeks from yesterday. Did you break a mug?
Yes, my I can't say that. I can't. I don't want to get into it on here. I almost tried to turn my camera off. My grandma made it for me, and she made me another B mug before I like graduated high school, and then I broke that fucking thing. And then I was like, "Will you make me another one?" She was like, "Yeah." And I have these dumb hooks for my mugs on these cupboards, and this has the thick handle, and I'm putting my mugs away. I literally am so upset right now. And I'm gonna text her and be
Well,
like, "Will you make me another one?" And she probably won't because things with my grandma are not
Oh
optimal right now. So yeah.
so what you need to do is at least pick up the pieces, glue it together, and make it a pencil cup.
I did that with the old one. The old one has since been thrown away, I believe. This one, the broken pieces were so shattered that I couldn't with the middle part, and I can't find the big piece because it's somewhere on the
Gotcha.
counter.
Well,
I
don't
think I'm just
throw the
gonna go to a
mug
pottery
away.
studio and make a new bee mug myself this time.
Right?
I'm
Well,
sure there's pottery studios in Chicago.
I'm
yeah.
just very upset. I'm very upset. Sorry.
And
Sorry to do
I'm
this on air.
married to an art teacher, so like if you need somebody who will help you out, I
Yeah.
can't completely speak for her because pottery's not like her favorite thing, but
It's what I get for doing dishes on air.
she might be willing to make exceptions.
That's
Um,
appreciated.
so next month we'll do us some Why the Last Man. I'm gonna say uh I don't have my I don't have my tablet with me, so let me figure out what constitutes the currently available first volume of Why the Last Man, because I know that they've done it in the thicker.
Mhm.
that available digitally? Because I know I've seen that exactly one
Yes.
time looking at the comic shop nearest to me, Grand Paper Comics. Saw it once.
Uh,
Didn't know what it was. Just saw that it had Brian's name on it. I'm like, oh, okay. And then put it back on the shelf.
I actually have the bigger version, but volume two.
okay, so we're doing
I
Why
don't
the
have number
Last
one.
Man, book one, which includes issues 1 to 10. So, and it is available digitally. If you have trouble finding it, Marisol, let me know. I can help you out. Though I think
Thank
Lee's got
you.
it at the
I
comic shop
appreciate
too. So you need to go visit Lee.
We definitely do have it.
We
Lee,
should
where
we should what?
where are we taking a field trip to?
Algonquin.
Algonquin, Illinois, Modern Age Comics.
Okay. I'll have to figure out where that is in relation to me.
Where are you located?
You're in
Westmont.
oh yeah, okay. So you take
I
like
moved in
53 up
late
to
August.
you take 53 up to Lake Cook and
Okay.
then Lake Cook over, and it'd probably be about an hour. But
Sounds about right.
if we do it right, we can arrange something where like you, me, and Belle meet there. Belle, you take the Metra out to Barrington, and either Marisol or I would pick you up on our way.
Yeah,
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
we can make
So
that work.
there are options. There are ways to make it work, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We'll
we
Um,
can
figure it
schedule
out.
it out. I'd be fine with that.
but
Sounds fun.
otherwise, I know it's still in print, easy to get. If you have a DC Ultra subscription, it is part of that. Um,
So it's
Check really
Why the Last
quickly.
Man book one or volume one?
Book one,
Okay.
because volume one technically isn't in print anymore because they switched over
Oh,
to the bigger size. It was the way it was while it was coming out, so those are easy to find, but it'd be, I think, volume one
mhm.
and volume two if you did it that way. Um,
Okay.
and they're probably available cheap. You can almost always find it at a half price books.
Oh, and
Um,
I do think I have one or two of those near me. So
right. Let me check really quickly if it's one of the things that DC has on Global Comics.
Guys, I'm on the East Coast. It's 11. I'm gonna say
Oh, you're
goodnight.
on the
I'm
East
I'm
Coast right
I'm
now?
fading. I am on the East Coast.
Man.
But this has been lovely. When
Well,
we
well,
chat,
let me just take us out because I think we're just
please,
babbling at this point. So
please.
for Lee and Josh and Matt and Belle and Marisol, this has been the Saga Book Club on 22 panels, and we will see you after the next page.